This video is brought to you by Mini Prints. Visit miniprints.com and check out all the 3D printed super detailing parts they offer. Take your layout to the next level of detail. They're the resin. Your layouts look so detailed. That's miniprints.com. Additional support provided by Grand Central Scenery. For the very best in realistic trees, check out Grand Central Scenery online at grandcentralscenery.com or call 801-891-7255. Since 1995, Grand Central Scenery has been the leader in fine handcrafted scenery and accessories. Hi, I'm Go Big or Go Home. Welcome to Keeping Track. Are you looking for a project to do with your child? Maybe you want to hone in or perfect some of your modeling skills. Well, I've got the project for you. Join me now as I work with my oldest son to build little dioramas of our very own. And this is his first one. So I'm going to be walking him through it, and you'll be able to see him do this step by step. Okay, so for this project, I'm just going to go over a couple of things that you might need. I picked up a couple of these 8-inch by 8-inch wood blocks that are about $4 each from the dollar store. Also, we've got a strip of Midwest cork, HO scale. We also have a slice of Pico Code 83 Flex Track. You'll also need a ruler or a straight edge. And of course, you'll need you might need parental supervision if you're going to use a knife or sharp objects. We also have a Sharpie marker. We're also going to use rail snips. And then I got a bottle of brown paint and a bottle of Lepage wood glue. Works really well. And of course, a 1-inch thick 2 foot by 2 foot square piece of foam. Okay, so first up, we're going to take our Sharpie and our ruler, and we're just going to do a line right across just to kind of see where we want to have our track going from end to end here. Next, I measure out and cut 2 8-inch by 8-inch square pieces of foam so that we can raise up the ground a bit. It's really easy to cut this foam as long as your knife is sharp. Just remember to have a parent help you so that there's no accidents. Here you'll see that I am spreading out some of the wood glue all over the top of the platform. Eventually I'll have my son take a kind of a cruddy old paintbrush and he'll spread this out, and he'll make sure that the glue is evenly distributed right across corner to corner, all on the top of this little wooden platform. It doesn't take long for this glue to dry, but you'll want to make sure that it's evenly spread out so that it holds the whole thing down and it doesn't separate. After all the glue is evenly distributed to the top here, I'm going to give him a hand, and we're going to make sure that all the corners line up so that it's perfectly square on the platform. We're going to push down a little bit, and then we're going to add some weight. Got these old Ryobi batteries that weigh a ton, so it really helps. After the glue has dried, we want to recreate that center line that is now covered. So we're going to go off a few marks that we had previously made on the side of the wood, and we're just going to line it up, and we're going to put the line back down right across end to end, and this will act as our center line for both our cork and our track. Next up, we're going to add the cork. I cut a couple of lengths for him so that I could make some for myself as well here. And he's just going to put his on. And we had a lengthy discussion as to why the cork goes on there before the track, and the difference between putting track just on the wood and how it will absorb the sound and whatnot. And it'll also give it a good look once you put the ballast on the track and it goes down the sides of the actual cork as well. So of course, I ran a strip of glue, and then I had him place and pin one side, and I'm going to add some more glue here to the other side. And he's going to add the other half of the actual cork. Midwest is a really good brand. I use that for my layout, so I trust it with something like this here as well. Also, I had lots of extra, so it was already on hand. We just got to wait for this to dry now, which is going to take another couple of hours. But I trust that it shouldn't take too long, and we'll be able to put the track down. He's very excited, so he's eager to see this whole thing come together, and it's starting off as a really good project. So here you can see that he's going to slowly start hacking away at the foam here. I made sure that his knife was not super sharp, but typically you would want to use a knife that would slice through this like a hot knife through butter. That just makes it a bit of a smoother transition for the ground, and it'll make it easier to cover up and whatnot and hide all those imperfections. But this is just his first time, so wanted to make sure that he was okay using the knife before I really let him use something much sharper. I'll come in eventually here, the odd time, and I'll take off a big piece, because the pieces that he was taking off were very small, but still good. And it takes a bit of time to practice this and really work on the skill of cutting the foam altogether. Here's mine. I did mine to show him as a test, just so that he knows what he's doing. But he wanted me to clean up his a little bit here, just so that it would have a bit of a smoother transition. I'm using a bit of a sharper knife, so it really, really does help to have a sharper knife. But that's why I'm here helping him. So we'll just continue this, and then I'm going to eventually do the other side as well, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So two things here. So first, I got him to cut off the extra cork that was hanging over each end of the module. Now I had some spare track, so I found one that would fit just a little bit longer than what he has drawn out here. He's going to take some regular white glue, and he's just putting some right down the center, and now he's also going to put some down each side of the ties, trying not to get any glue on the actual rail itself. And we're going to have to let this sit for a while because this glue does take quite a bit of time to dry. But I often recommend it because it's way easier if you have made a mistake. You just stick your knife under the actual ties and you run it along there and it pops it right up. It doesn't really make a mess. And yeah, like I said, it's easy to use. So that's what I use on my layout. And this is what I recommend here as well for him for the module. I'm just going to add a bit more glue closer to the edge just to make sure that everything stays on there and nothing comes off at the end. And yeah, we'll just let this dry overnight. About 8 to 10 hours later, you can see that it's still kind of wet, but we'll wait a few more hours just so that everything dries clear. There's mine as well. Then what I do is I clip each end of the rails so that they line up with the edging as well. You can see that I did both mine and his, and I did both ends, just so that everything is flush with the end. I wanted to add some power feeders for this rail on each of the modules. So I got him to drill out 2 holes on the outside of the rail on both sides between the ties. So it's just 1 hole on each side, and that's where we're going to attach our feeder. And because it is a very small piece of track, we only need 1 right in the center. So I'm going to do the same thing here with my little module. I didn't really need any parental supervision, but you know, it's just a quick job here, nice and clean. And once that was done, we basically did the feeders. Show them, yeah, you just feed it through the bottom there, 1 wire on one side, 1 on the other. One's for your positive and 1 is your negative. And I explained to him, you know, basically how it works, how the battery will attach to one side and it goes up through the car and comes out the other, and that's how it basically provides power to the lights that are in the car. Now I got him to strip the wires here just on the ends using the crimping tool, and he was really good at doing that, and because he's very independent, he likes to do a lot of this stuff by himself. So he took the reins here and he was able to do that, no problem. And yeah, just putting in the work, you know. So I wanted to take the reins on this part here because it's time to solder. Didn't want him using the soldering gun as it is too hot, and yeah, I felt that it would have probably been best if I just, you know, work on this. But yeah, so I'm gonna put like a little bit of tin on the wire itself, and basically it'll make it easier to connect the wire or the feeder to the actual rail itself. You always want to make sure that you connect it on the outside of the rail, because if it's on the inside, there's a really good chance that your train will derail. Now I do have another 2 holes that I put on the side of the actual module as well. The wires are coming out there, you can kind of see that. And that's basically because there's not a whole lot of room on the inside there. So when I connect the battery, it'll just be on the outside. And of course, after you're done soldering, you just want to file down to make sure that the rail is flat, and you just want to clean the area around where you did make your solder points. And of course, just for testing purposes, I do want to clean the top of the rails here, as this is a used piece of track. But yeah, I just wanted to clean the tops so that we can put the car on and see if it'll light up. Better to do it now than wait till all the ground cover is on and the ballast is on, only to find out that it doesn't work. So he picked out a car, which is a caboose, and we're gonna put that on the track, and we're gonna see if it will actually light up. I'm using a 9-volt battery. They seem to be the best for doing something like this, so I had an extra one laying around, so we'll use that. And of course, here's the caboose, and we're just gonna see if we can light it up using the battery. Here's one more angle so that you'll be able to see the lights coming on there, and it's good to go. It works. Okay, so this is part 1 in this series, and I think he's doing a really good job. We've got a lot more to do. As you can imagine, there's, still the paint, the ground cover. He's really excited to use the static grass as well. And hopefully get some ballast on here too. Maybe some trees. We'll see what he comes up with. But this is just the start. Come back next month and you'll be able to see more work on our little modules. I have a few plans myself for mine. But I guess you'll have to come back to check that out. So we'll see you next month here on Keeping Track, and follow along. Maybe you're gonna do one of these as well. Let me know. I'd love to see it. I'm Go Beer, Go Home. Thank you so much for watching Keeping Track. Come back next month for even more. Coming up next, GVO After Dark.